Hello, everyone.
Hello, everyone. Very happy that you are here. Wonderful to see all of you. More coming in.
Thank you so much for coming.
And so today, the topic is about mothers and daughters. Before we start, let's do a little bit of so-called housekeeping. We will not be answering any questions today. We have so much to cover with you. It's going to be a bit of rush for time. So don't bother putting questions in. We will have another session for that. Um, put in all your chats into the setting at the bottom, all panelists and attendees. As we go along, it'd be good for you to type in the chat how you're doing, any reactions, how you're responding, so we know where you're at as well, and we can feel you. Also, we will not be taking any breaks unless it's urgent for us to take a break to the restroom. But if you have to, then go right ahead. Um, you know that you have the recording that will be sent to you within 7 days of this webinar. And also, it's going to be a different experience for different people. For some, it will be incredibly intense, and you might be exhausted because we're going to go very deep and there's a lot to cover. If you are tired and you fall asleep, that's okay too, right? Because you will have the recording and you can go through that again at your own pace. So just go with the flow. For some of you, you may not feel so much. That's okay too. Just do the releasing statements. Um,
For some of you, some things might not resonate. Don't worry about that. Some things resonate more naturally, some things resonate less. Okay?
mhm. um, okay. So today, what we're going to cover would be, as best as we can, the 7 key areas of conflict. There's actually a lot more. And why did this webinar come about? It was mostly because I have had a lot of process with my own mom and even with my daughter, and we worked with a lot of women, thousands of women, about this topic, mothers and daughters, and it became suddenly very much in focus. And we want women to benefit from this. And also, we found out today that it's a very, very auspicious day to do this webinar. This is the day when Buddha went up to the heavens to teach his mother. So, wow, what an amazing day to do this, right? And there are a lot of new people here. So, we're going to go into a little explanation about what is releasing before we launch into the releasing proper. Okay.
Whenever we go through life, of course, we have joyful and painful experiences. And especially the experiences that we have with loved ones, like with our parents, in this case, mother and daughter, leave some inner imprints that affect our entire life. Some of the root causes for this can be in previous lifetimes, or they can even have root causes in our ancestry. Some experience and imprints come about during our experience in this life. We have beautiful, empowering experiences, and then you might have had experiences with your mother that are painful, that you felt limited, that you felt uh, created fear in you, or where you felt you can't be who you really are. So, as some of you know, like Dr. Lindwall discovered the Lindwall releasing and this wonderful process where you can go inside and find the energies, the thought forms, the patterns, and the imprints that hold you back from being in free flow, from being who you really are. In this case, to be fully in your power and who you are as a woman, as a mother, and a daughter. And so today, we like to go through with you through a whole range, a quite wide range of things where we can release with you emotional pains, limiting processes to empower you as a woman, to especially let you heal your relationship with yourself as a woman and with your mother or with your daughter, both. Not every woman is a mother, but every woman is a daughter. So some of you, you might feel, I want to intend this because I'm a mother, but you might find also that you heal for yourself as a daughter. And it doesn't matter if your mother is still alive or not, it's never too late to heal that relationship. So what we do today is that we guide you through a process where you feel inside and where we will use releasing statements to release those inner blocks or programs that would interfere with your relationship between mother and daughter. What is very essential is that when we give you a whole list of releasing statements, that you please say the statements out loud. That's why this is just not just a talk. That's why this is not just a sharing, but we go through the process together. And you can go through the process also afterwards and using the recording. So when we say releasing statements, and we try to say them in such a way that you can follow. So we try to say them not too fast and not too slow, and that you repeat them out loud and feel what it does to you when you use those releasing statements.
Mhm. Remember that every releasing statement is like a delete button, okay? The delete actually is in the words, I release. So, as Heiko said, it's important to speak them out, not just read them or hear us saying them. If you have to cry, cry. If you have to curse and swear, please do so. This is the chance now to fully express and let things go, okay?
And as you do this process, you can sit down, close your eyes, or keep your eyes open, or you can lie down, close your eyes, keep your eyes open. That's really up to you. Most important is that you're really now in a space that is safe, where you're undisturbed and quiet.
Yes, make sure you are not interrupted, that you feel safe in this space. And perhaps it's more advisable to sit down because you might fall asleep. We find that sometimes the frequency is so high that people feel very tired and very sleepy quickly. Okay, so it would help if you were to sit. Okay. Mm, let's see. Today, we also want to release with you in connection with your ancestors. We want to help you to free your family line, your female line of the family. So everything that we say today, all the releasing that we do, we dedicate all of it to all females in our families, both sides of the family, mom and dad, in our female bloodline. Okay, what you release today, we also release for all females in your bloodline and also for all females in the world. Okay, so even if, as we say, the releasing statements, you feel it doesn't pertain to you, it's not in your experience in this lifetime, remember that it could be the experience of an ancestor or your mom, your grandma, or beyond them. It could also be an experience from your past lives. So by saying the statements, you are deleting all of that, okay, as we go along. Okay, we all comfortable now? Oh, one last thing. We may extend beyond the allocated time. of 2.5 hours. It's highly likely we will go into 4 hours and maybe more. We'll do our best to be extremely concise. But if you feel you have to go, just go, okay? Because there's the recording. You can do that in your own time. Yeah. So for those who have just come in, remember to repeat the releasing statements as you hear them and allow yourself to cry if you feel like it. So we will do some preliminary releasing with you. First, say, I release all decisions that I have ever made to swallow and suppress all of my emotions out of fear to be overwhelmed or destroyed or weakened by everything that I really feel. I release those decisions right now. Take a deep breath.
And say, I release, not to allow myself to feel what I really feel. And I release my need to judge my feelings, my thoughts, and my emotions. And I open myself to embrace them.
And now say, I release all decisions that I've ever made to close my throat and not to express my true feelings and my truth out of fear to be misunderstood, to be judged, to be dismissed, rejected, or punished. I release those fears right now. So it is. I release my need to always be in control of all my emotions. And I release my fear to be vulnerable and to look weak and to have everything destroyed around me if I'm not always in control. Those fears I release right now. So it is. Take a deep breath on that. And I give myself permission now. I choose to fully open my throat And I allow my emotions to surface as much as I can handle. Not more. And I allow myself to open my throat right now and express everything I feel through my throat, to express my truth. And I know this is safe. So it is.
And I release my fear to express my truth and feelings in the presence of my mother. Remember, if you think now, but I'm not afraid to express my feelings and truth in the presence of my mother, never mind. It can be that in this life you are not afraid of that. But maybe 10 lifetimes ago, you're afraid of that. And there's just a little bit of that fear left in you, which you can reach using the releasing statements. So there's never a waste of saying a releasing statement, even though you don't feel you resonate with it or you're not sure you resonate with it.
And also remember that a lot of the things we are going to ask you to release today would be those programs and decisions that are in your subconscious mind. We work a lot with the subconscious mind and what's contained in there. 85% of your mind or more is subconscious mind. It's all buried under the surface. So this is what's driving you and controlling you and how you feel. Yeah, it's accumulated in your subconscious mind. So even if that 15 or 10% of your conscious mind is saying, no, I don't agree, that's okay, say it anyway, because you can't release what is not there. If it is there, it is released, okay? Okay, so the first area that we are going to address today, right now, would be personal boundaries. Personal boundaries being encroached upon or disrespected. So boundaries would include privacy, your mother coming into your privacy, or you going in, encroaching into your mother's privacy, wanting to know what is personal, kept for oneself. Your space is very important, and your mother's also, and always going into that space. That's not okay for a lot of people, but maybe they can't say it. But a lot of anger or resentment could build up. Also, it's not just physical space, things like diaries. It's also things that you say to each other that the other really doesn't want to know, even if you want to tell it, right? So even like, for example, like explicit things of your sex life, yeah, or your way of bringing up your baby. It's your child, but your mother wants to tell you what to do. This is going past the boundaries, overstepping boundaries, okay? All this builds up anger and resentment. So for mothers, this is also important because for a lot of mothers, there is that program and experience that your child, your daughter doesn't have boundaries. Okay, as a mother, I can relate to that as my daughter was growing up too. Because when they were born as infants, you are in their space, right? You do everything for them. What boundary is there? They were in your womb. There are no boundaries. They come out and then you have to attend to every single thing, every orifice. So as they grow older, inside you, in your subconscious mind, you may still see your daughter as that baby, your child. There are no boundaries. So it may come as a shock that this growing child, this girl, as she grows into a teen, as she grows into a woman, she has boundaries. She's built up her own space. She's built up in her self-identity, who she is. And a lot of mothers can be very confused with that, yeah, and piss a lot of daughters off. So mothers, you can say, I release my idea and belief that my daughter is still a baby and a child, and there's no boundaries to respect. If your mother is not with you, you can say that for your mother too. Like, I release for my mother, okay? I release my idea and belief that my daughter is my property. And that I own her. And that therefore, her boundaries are within my boundaries. And that I can override them at any time I wish. I release that idea and belief. And so it is.
I release my idea and belief that my daughter has no right to any space or privacy. I release that. I release my choice and decision to see her need for privacy as an affront to me and as if she shuts me out.
Take a deep breath and say, I release to take offense at that. And I let it go right now. So it is. And you can say, I release my idea. Or you can say, I release for my mother, okay? I release my idea, belief, and feeling that my daughter's need and request for space and privacy, all actions taken to protect her privacy are acts of hiding from me. And I release all pain and anger, believing that. I release it now. So it is. I release all programs and patterns to give unasked for advice.
So I release the idea that it's okay to always give unasked advice. to my grown-up daughter.
I release my program that as a mother, I always know better. And that as my daughter, and that my daughter does not know what is good for her, as she's my child.
I release my programming that it is my right as my daughter's mother to make her decisions for her, even though she is grown up.
In her clothes, in her makeup, her hairstyle, in her studies, in her career, her choice of boyfriend or husband, and in her friends. Yeah, like choosing the clothes for your daughter or telling her this is not nice, this is ugly, this doesn't suit you, your hairstyle sucks. You know, all of that, you're encroaching on her boundaries. I release my programming. That is my right as a mother to say anything I like to my daughter, even if it makes her feel uncomfortable, or if it offends her. And I open myself to see that it's not my right. And it was not given to me. So it is. I release my confusion at why my daughter even has boundaries between us. When we used to share everything, our thoughts, our feelings, always being together. I release that confusion. So it is.
I release my decision and pattern to see my daughter as an extension of myself. And as a daughter, you say, I release the programming to see myself as an extension of my mother.
And take a deep breath at this. Daughter can say, I release my fear to become like my mother, or to become my mother and lose myself I release that fear. And breathe.
And I release my fear to lose the connection to my mother. If I'm very different than my mother, and if I walk a very different path, I release my fear to not belong to her anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I open myself to see I can be very different than my mother and still very much belong and be very connected. And I choose that.
Mm-hmm. I release my decision to live vicariously through my daughter to fulfill my unfulfilled dreams through her. I release that. And you can say, I release my pattern to impose my ideas on my daughter's beingness and her purpose in life. Say, I don't do that anymore.
You can say, I embrace my daughter, bless my daughter, accept my daughter, and consent to my daughter just as she is.
You can visualize your mother saying that to you, okay? And all mothers in your bloodline. Your grandmother, your great-grandmother, your great-great-grandmother, all the mothers in your bloodline, they say to you, okay, I embrace you, I bless you, I accept you, and I consent to you as my daughter, as my daughter. So it is. Take a deep breath at that. And daughters, you can say, I release all anger from my mother for all the times that I felt she didn't respect my boundaries. When she dismissed my boundaries. I release all anger, resentment, hate, and frustration for my mother. Okay, these, when I say mother, it also includes mother figures like adopted mothers, grandmothers, okay, women who are significant in your life, including, of course, your own mother, biological or foster mother.
You know, when we ask people, when we ask children, in this case daughters, to release the anger or hate for their mother, what happens often is that a feeling of guilt comes up to even have that feeling. So they wouldn't even address it because they feel guilty for having those feelings. Why? Because deep down inside is this deep gratitude for giving life to you. The daughter feels deep gratitude for being even alive, knowing that no one in the whole world gave that gift of life, and having any kind of negative feeling or thought seems so ungrateful. So we invite you to skip that and to simply know that even though there are feelings of anger or hate, it does never mean that you don't love your mother deep inside. And since it is there, and since it's not our true self, we can release it. So we also always suggest, don't feel guilty for the negative feelings you need to release. And if you feel that guilt, that you need to release that, then release that guilt as well.
I release my confusion on why my mother would demand that I tell her everything about my life, what I do, feel, think, when I want to keep some things private, just for myself. I release my confusion and frustration at my mother's anger and emotional distancing when I show her that I need my space and my privacy. Take a deep breath at that. Let it go. I release the resentment and anger for my mother for involving me in her emotional turmoils and wanting me always to take her side.
I release my anger and resentment for my mother for the times when I had the feeling that she still sees me as just a child and does not acknowledge me as a mature and responsible and independent adult. And I choose to be neutral on that. I release the anger and resentment for my mother. For imposing her views, her advice, and her choices on me. I release that now.
I release my fear that if I don't allow my mother to cross my boundaries, that she will be angry and take her love away from me. That fear I release right now. See, this also applies to all the females in your life, the friends, the boss, okay, the older women. This fear from your mom or about your mom, it ripples out through your life to other women, how you feel about other women, okay? So you allow them to keep crossing your boundaries because you're afraid they take their love away, okay?
So especially the mother that is so important is a fear to say no to in whatever area. So you can say, I release my fear to lose my mother's love if I ever say no to her in any situation or any area of my life.
I release my need to please my mother all the time. And I release all over responsibility. This will apply to your shoulders, especially if you have an ache in your left shoulder for the longest time, or even both. Say, I release all over responsibility for my mother's life and for her happiness. I give my mother back her responsibility now, what belongs to her, for her own life, her own happiness. While knowing that I'm always there to love and support her. And I release to see my mother as a child, and to mother my mother. I give my mother back her responsibility, and I choose to respect her boundaries. So it is. I release to build a wall between my mother and I. to distance and to hide myself from my mother. I release my feeling that this is the only way I can claim my space and my privacy. And I release my need to lie to my mother. Manipulate her. And not tell her the truth. In order to live the life that I want to live. To make the choices that I make. To create the life that I want to live. I release that need to lie to my mother. And I release all feelings of guilt and shame about that. See your mother in front of you and say, please forgive me. If I knew a better way, I would have done it. And I forgive myself. I really forgive myself. And breathe. Tell us where you're at in the chat box. How are you feeling? How are you feeling right now? Does this resonate with you? Let the feelings come up. Feel fragile if you feel fragile. Don't resist anything, okay? Don't resist. Very high energies now. As you release these things, all of these programs and these feelings, your frequency, your energy will start to vibrate higher and it will shift, okay? So you might feel tired, yawning, heavy. Don't resist. Say, I release to resist the shift that is happening in me.
And as you say that, allow whatever feeling you feel. Don't make your feeling wrong. That means embrace it. That means don't resist it. Allow it. It is kind of a paradox, but the more you allow that feeling and don't resist it, the better you can release it. You can also say, I release my fear that I can't be who I really am in the presence of my mother. I release my fear that I can't be who I really am in the presence of my mother. I release my idea and conviction that I can never be who I really am. With my mother. So Be aware that you might have the idea, the belief, because of past experiences, where you felt you can't be who you really are. You're not accepted for who you are in the presence of your mother. And that story got stuck in your head, and that you repeat that story and let that story lead your way, your actions, your thinking. So we invite you to stop believing that and open your mind for new reality. I release my belief. I will never be able to be who I really am in the presence of my mother.
Mhm.
And I release my conviction and strong belief that my mother will never fully accept me for who I really am and the way I am. I release that and I open myself for a new reality.
I open myself for a new reality. Okay, which brings us to the next section about abuse, judgment, and criticism. Okay, the next area of conflict. It's all connected. Now you can say, I release my pain and anger, feeling criticized by my mother so many times and all the time. I release my anger, my pain, and I release the hate for my mother. Breathe. I release my pain, being constantly judged by my mother and mother figures in my life. From the time I was a child, for the way I look, the things I say, the things I do, and the choices that I made in my life. I release my pain about that. And I release the shock for all the times that I was judged and criticized. And breathe. And say, I release the fear of my mother's criticism and disapproval. And breathe. So it is. Let it go.
I release my feeling that I can never make her happy, no matter what I do.
Mm-hmm.
I release that feeling and belief.
I release the anger for my mother and my deep disappointment that she doesn't fully acknowledge all my achievements, and that she doesn't really see who I am, that she doesn't see me for who I really am. I release my pain about that and my disappointment. I release in the astral, in the astral life, and in the output.
And you can say, if it is true that she sees me for who I really am, I open myself to experience that.
Mhm. I release my feeling that I can never be good enough for my mother and live up to all her expectations and demands, expressed or unexpressed. And I release my frustration about that and my pain and despair. I release this for all females in my bloodline. Take a deep breath. And there are many women whose mothers choose their careers, or it expects them to be a lawyer or doctor or whatever it is, some professional, some high paying, or even marry a rich husband, Yeah.
So I release my program that it is my duty as a daughter to choose the career and life my mother wants me to.
Mhm. And also for your shoulders, you can say, I release to feel pressured to fulfill my mother's dreams and hopes for me. And I release my fear and pain, believing that somehow I have disappointed and failed my mother and have lost some of her love and regard for me. I release my pain believing that.
I release to feel pressured to fulfill my mother's dreams and hopes for me.
Mm-hmm.
I release to feel pressured to fulfill my mother's dreams and hopes that she did not fulfill. In other words, many daughters feel and know their mother's dreams that
They
that
wish they were this or that. Yeah.
yes, they could
Mm.
have done that.
Mm-hmm.
I wish I could have traveled so far. I wish I could have chosen that career. I wish I could have had this kind of life,
Mm-hmm.
right? But I couldn't. And that daughters often feel the pressure to fulfill that on behalf of the mother.
Mm-hmm.
So that is what you release. And internally, you can look at your mother and say, I choose a different path. I choose my own fate. I give yours back to you,
Mm.
and I keep mine. And we are still connected and belong always.
Mm.
What you can always do is when when you're not sure about your approval from your mother, that she blesses you with what you do, is that you make the movement towards your mother and get it from her. That you can go to her and say, that you don't wait for her to say it and hope it, but that you go directly and say, can you bless me when I tell you that I take a very different path than yours? You can go to your mother and say, Mom, and that doesn't matter if she's still in the body and alive or if she already moved on. Then you can do this internally and you can go and say, can you tell me now that it's okay that I live a different life than you have hoped for me? Can you confirm it for me? Can you say it in my face?
Mm-hmm.
Can you assure me? So that you go and get everything from your mother, what you always wanted, the confirmation, the support, the blessing, the love, the okay,
Yeah.
and not wait for it.
And very often, when we have very critical mothers, very judgmental mothers from the time we were children, and with the wish to please her, we could grow up subconsciously having her like on our shoulder, you know. We hear her voice in our head somehow when we're doing things, or we look through her eyes at ourselves. So you can say, I release all patterns and programs to look at myself through the critical eyes of my mother. I release that right now. I release my constant need and pattern to judge myself through the eyes of my critical mother. And I choose to look at myself from now on through the eyes of love. I choose this. So it is. I release my need to constantly prove to my mother that I'm good enough. And I release to feel so tired having to prove this again and again through my life. Take a deep breath. Let all tiredness go. Okay. Now you say to your mother, visualize your mother in front of you. If your mother is not with you, and you say, mother, or whatever you call your mother, mommy, mom, I have my own path in life, and it is different from yours. I love and accept myself just the way I am. I'm happy with my choices. And I know I can deal with my choices and all the consequences of those choices and decisions. And breathe. Yeah, very good. And how are you? Write in the chat box. Let the feelings come up if they're there. Okay, and now I'm feeling you. Now, daughters towards mom. A release to judge and criticize my mother. And to find faults in her. To pick on faults. I release all contempt for my mother. And to judge her as weak and inferior to all other women and to other mothers. I release all contempt for my mother. I release to constantly compare my mother to other women and mothers whom I respect, and to find her inferior. I release this right now. So it is.
I release to reject my mother. I release all over responsibility for my mother's health. And happiness. And I release to step into my mother's role and position take on responsibility for her life. I step out of that position and I step back into my position. Say, Mother, I give you your responsibility back. It is yours, not mine.
I step fully back into my position as your daughter.
Now, this doesn't mean that you can't be caring for your mother anymore, support her health and well-being, but it's very different to support her from your position and your mother standing in her position than you trying to step in your mother's position and taking on her issues in life, her problems, and trying to solve it on her behalf.
And in this section, the context is that you see her as weak and you judge her as weak. Yeah. You are stronger. You are better. So you give it back now and you step back into your position as her daughter. And I choose to love and to accept my mother just the way she is, in the way that I wish her to love and accept me just the way I am.
To accept and love our mother just the way he is a key to experiencing being loved and accepted as we are.
Yeah, it really is.
So at any time, again and again, it is good to bring to awareness and to make the choice and say, I love and accept my mother just as she is now.
Even if it's hard, and you can say again and again, I release the hate and anger from my mother. I release to judge my mother for all her flaws, for all her faults. Because as you judge your mother for all her flaws and her faults, so do you judge yourself for all of yours. Okay, that's how it works. And as you accept your mother, you start to accept yours. You give what you want. You always give what you want. Now for mothers, your turn. I release to judge and criticize my daughter. And I release my need to do so. I release this pattern and program from all females and for all females in my bloodline, in the astral life, and in the output. I release all patterns and programs to compare my daughter with all other daughters. And to find her inferior or wanting in some way. Wanting means like not enough for those who don't speak English, yeah? And you can release this for your mother also, even if she's not anymore in the body, you're releasing for her soul, yeah? So she doesn't carry this pattern. I release to judge myself, or you can say I release for my mother, yeah? I release to judge myself and to project my flaws and faults on my daughter. I forgive myself. I release all guilt that I did that. All feelings of guilt I release now. I ask for forgiveness and I forgive myself. So it is. I choose to clearly see my daughter. If it's for your mother, if she's not there, you can say, I open for my mother. The new program. To clearly see my daughter as she really is. And to acknowledge all that is powerful and loving and strong and beautiful in my daughter. So it is. Take a deep breath. Let the energies flow. And I release all pain and anger, all hate for my daughter, feeling judged and criticized by her all the time. Take a deep breath on that. Let it go.
I release my pain from all the times I felt disrespected and criticized by my daughter. I release my confusion for all the times when I did not criticize my daughter, but was accused of doing so. I release all feeling of helplessness and frustration when I felt misunderstood by my daughter.
Both mother and daughters can say, I release my tension and stress, feeling I have to walk on eggshells, or that I might step on a landmine. with my mother, or you can say with my daughter, when I communicate with her. A lot of people have that feeling. A lot of mothers and daughters have that feeling. It's a very complex communication, yeah, that's happening all the time. One day this is okay, and the other day it's not, to say that, the same thing. One day your daughter's asking you for advice, and you think that's what she wants. You give the advice another day, and she's upset, and so very complex and very confusing. Mhm. I release my feeling of helplessness and powerlessness. Not knowing how to express to my daughter how proud I am of her and how much I wish for her love and for her acceptance of me, just the way I am. I release feeling so helpless and frustrated. Take a deep breath.
I release to judge and criticize myself, believing that I'm a bad mother and never good enough for my daughter, no matter what I do for her, and no matter how much I support her.
You can repeat that one, all mothers. Yeah.
I release to judge and criticize myself, believing that I'm a bad mother, and never good enough for my daughter, no matter what I do for her. And no matter how much I support her.
So it is. Take a deep breath on that. Let it go. I release my resentment and disappointment in my daughter, that she cannot see my love and my best intentions for her well-being and for her life. I release that now. Take a deep breath. So it is.
So now, if you see and feel that your daughter cannot see how much you love her and have her best intentions, if you have that feeling, does it make it true? Not necessarily, because there's always the possibility that you might have the feeling that your daughter cannot see that, but that she actually can, and you might not be aware of that. So therefore, it would be great to be wrong. So you can say, if it is true, if it is really true that my daughter feels how much I love her, can see how much I love her, and knows my best intentions, I open myself to experience that. I open myself now to experience that, to see that, to realize that, and to know that.
Mhm. So it is. Where are you at in your process? How are you feeling? Now we come to a more intense section. There are many daughters who have been abused in their life as children, as teens, abused emotionally, mentally, physically by their mothers. And it's been traumatic. It has been my experience also. So I did a lot of releasing around it. And I always say, if my mother and I can come to such an understanding, such a love, such a support and bonding after all that had happened in my childhood, so can everybody else, so can all women. No matter how bad it looks, no matter how bad or tough or painful it had been, if I can do it, so can anyone, any woman. You just need to work on it, release it. You don't even have to involve your mother. If you do the work and you get neutral and you go deeper, you will see the root causes of why it even happened, that your mother would abuse you the way she did. So whatever the root cause of your personal journey, we can still release the trauma and the shock and the pain around it, okay? So that we can shift the energy around it and you can heal. So I release all shock and trauma for all the times my mother violently shouted at me and screamed abuse and ugly words at me. I release my shock and trauma in the astral life, and in the output. I release this for all females in my bloodline and my ancestry. So it is. And take a deep breath, let the shock go. Many children have carried this shock in the system from the time they were children, and they were screamed and yelled at by the one person that they completely trusted when they emerged into the world. In the astral and in the astral life. Okay? I release all shock and trauma for all the times my mother physically and violently hit and hurt me in different forms and with different objects. I release all shock and trauma. And I release the deep pain in my heart, believing during those times that my mother really hates me. I release my deep pain and my grief about that. I release in the astral life, in all dimensions and planes, and in the output. And so it is. And take a deep breath on that. I release all negative effects from all the mental, emotional, and physical abuse from my mother from the past. I release this all negative effects for all females in my bloodline who had experienced the same. And so it is. Take a deep breath. Release all negative effects. Feel the energy shift. Energy flowing in. I heal now. Say, I heal now. And I release all decisions that I had made during those violent times to fragment, to leave my body, to hide in the astral and in the astral life. Wanting to hide from my mother. I release my feeling and belief that it is too painful and too traumatic to be in my body and too frightening. I release that feeling right now. Take a breath. I now call all aspects and fragments of myself to come fully back into my body right now. From all planes and dimensions, from the astral life, I come fully back into my body and I ground in my body. I reconnect with my spleen. And you visualize your mother in front of you. If she had abused you, screamed at you, shouted at you, you felt emotionally tortured by her, mentally. So I release my hate for you. And I release my fear that you will destroy me. And I'm afraid of you. I'm angry with you. And I feel helpless in my anger and in my powerlessness. I feel I cannot defend myself against you. And I'm afraid that if I feel all of my rage, I might destroy you. And I don't want to do that. Because deep inside, Mommy, whatever you call your mom, what I truly want, what my heart desires, is that you love me. You really love me. That's what I want. So I don't want to hate you. And I don't want to be angry with you. I don't want to be cut off from you. I do that because I don't know what else to do. It hurt too much. It hurts so much when I believe that you hate me. I can barely stand that thought and that feeling. I release my hate and anger for you. And I release my decision to never ever forgive you, to never fully forgive you, to close my heart to you and hold back my love, to punish you, to cut off from you, to take revenge on you, to have you regret what you have lost from the way you treated me. I release my decision to blame you forever, to judge you, to condemn you, and to punish you. I release this decision in the astral life, in all dimensions and planes, and in the output. So it is. And now, as you visualize your mother, see her in front of you. Ah, so many questions you have. Ask her, Mommy or Mom, Ma, deep in your heart, do you really love me? Say, tell me the truth. I align myself fully with truth. I can handle it. Whatever the truth is, I accept it. I feel it. I hear it. I speak it. So ask again, Mom, do you really love me? And now you listen. If you hear yes from your mother, type it in the chat box. Your mom's true heart. Yes, she says yes. Despite everything. Despite all the times you felt she didn't love you. Say, I make a decision now to fully open my heart to my mother. I open myself to forgive her. And I forgive myself for putting myself in that situation. I open myself to receive my mother's love. I give that a chance. I give love a chance. I release all feelings of despair, all despair and desperation for my mother's love. Believing I never get it and she doesn't love me. I release that belief right now. I open my heart to my mother again. See your mother in front of you. And visualize that you put your hand on your mother's heart and your mother puts her hand on your heart. So I reconnect my heart with my mother's heart. I open myself to do that. So you may not be ready right now, and you don't have to force anything, but that you open to do it shifts the energy. Okay? You open for that. And breathe in your heart. How are you feeling? I open this process. Say, I open this process for all females in my entire bloodline to release all shock and trauma and release all decisions, to close my heart and their hearts to all the mothers in our bloodline. So it is. And breathe. Release all resistance for the new higher energies coming into your system. Okay? And allow it. Say, I allow all new energies to flow freely through me.
I release wanting to die. And I release all decisions to destroy myself. Feeling it would be better if I were never born. I release my pain, having the idea that my mother wished that I was never born. I release all negative effects of wanting to destroy myself and to die and leave this body. I make a new decision now. I choose to fully heal and choose to receive all the energies that I need to fully heal.
Breathe. Let all negative effects go of that decision to die. It's so primal, you know. Mother is the source of life for us since the time we were born. She's life. She's our world. If she abused us, or we felt she hates us, or she wished that we believe that she wished we were never born, first feeling for many would be, I want to die. Yeah, I wish I was never born. So release that and release all negative effects of that, because such emotional decisions, when made, it goes into your subconscious mind. Every thought and feeling that you have and hold for 33 and 1/3 seconds, 33 and 1/3 seconds, little less than a minute, half a minute, sinks into your subconscious mind and becomes a permanent part of you. Can you imagine that? So it's good to release it, especially emotional decisions. They have strong effects through life.
So when the daughter feels threatened by the mother for whatever reason, the result is often a closing down, a cutting off, feeling the need to cut off, feeling the need to turn away in self-perseverance. So I release all decisions I have made to reject my mother, to cut her off and turn away from my mother. I release all those decisions now.
See, decisions like this affect your female body. All hate and anger that you carry inside for your mother goes into your female body. And this often is manifested in the left side of your body. You might be getting a lot of accidents on the left side most of the time rather than your right side. If you have issues with your mother, you might have issues with your breast. Women who have breast cancer or cancer in the womb or tumors or disorders in the ovaries, these are all mother organs, okay? So if you have a weak left side or weak female organs, it's because of the hate and anger you hold for your mother or wanting to cut her off. So it's very important to release that to come back into health as a female, okay? Female body health. I ask my mother's forgiveness and I forgive myself. Now I release all decisions. This is for your lower back. I release all decisions that I have made to give my power away to my mother, believing and feeling that if I don't, she might fight me for my power and that I might be destroyed. And breathe. Release this in the astral life, and in the output. And I take all my power back now from my mother. So it is.
I release my fear to be destroyed. By my mother and by female energies.
I release all decisions to never fully trust any female, all female energies, and other women. I release all decisions to never fully trust the love of women out of a subconscious fear to be unexpectedly attacked or rejected by them.
I open myself to see, to experience that love of females can be trusted. I open myself to trust in the love of females again. I allow myself to be nurtured and loved by females and female energies.
Now we know that mother represents the world, okay? Your relationship and experience of your mother is often translated to the world around you. If you fear and not trust your mother's love, then it's very often in life that you don't fully trust life and trust that life will take care of you, that you are safe. It's a feeling, especially if you have been abused, there's a feeling that life is not a safe space. The world is not a safe space, that you need to be protected. Okay, it's a very deep underlying kind of feeling that it's not safe. So this is good to release. I release my fear that the world is not a safe place. I release feeling so powerless to defend myself from my mother and from her anger towards me. I release my programming, pattern, and decision to be ready to fight the world around me out of fear to be destroyed if I don't constantly defend myself. And I release all patterns and programs to attack as a form of defense. So it is. I release all decisions to be on high alert at all times and to never fully relax, to be on guard against an unexpected attack from my mother and the world around me. As I experienced in the past. I release this in the astral life, in all dimensions and planes, and in the output. Output is like the printout of your life, yeah? Your life, your thoughts, your feelings. And I choose to fully and completely relax now. I know that I'm safe. I give myself permission to fully relax in all cells of my body and in my mind, on all levels of my being. I give myself permission to relax and breathe.
So, you as a daughter, you might have experienced having feelings of feeling superior or inferior to your mother. Our mothers feel superior or inferior to their daughter.
So there's a subtle competition, okay, between mother and daughter. That's the next area we want to release.
Say, I release all programming from my female ancestors, from my DNA, and from my past lives to compete with and destroy other females. I also release this program for my mother and all females and ancestral females in my bloodline and ancestry.
This is big. This is deep. Competition amongst women. I release this in the astral life, in all dimensions and planes, and in the output. So it is.
I release all programming and patterns to compete with my mother for my father's love and attention.
This often applies to daddy's girls, okay? If you consider yourself a daddy's girl or daddy's favorite, that often comes into play when your father is closer to you than your mom, than he is with your mom. Say it again. I release all programming and patterns to compete with my mother for my father's love and attention. So it is.
I release my belief and idea that I can be a better woman for my father than my mother ever could.
So it is. I release my need to put my mother down and to see her as inferior to me and to constantly prove in obvious and subtle ways that I am superior to her. I release that need to do that. And I release all patterns to do that. So it is. You know, this way to put your mom down can be in looks or sarcastic remarks, yeah, little innuendos, like she doesn't know, she's stupid or inferior or weak in some way. Mhm.
Say, I release all decisions to step into my mother's role and position. I step back into my position as her daughter.
As a daughter.
And I give my mother her position back. You can think of your mother, look at your mother and say, Mother, I give you your position back. I release to compete with my mother. While feeling that I can never be as great as her. I release my feeling of inferiority to my mother. And I release my constant need to prove to her and the world around me that I am her equal or even superior.
This program and pattern to compete with your mother is often translated in your behavior with girlfriends, women around you. When we say the world around, right? It's very often played out in very subtle ways with girlfriends, with business partners, female bosses, where you feel this impulse, uncontrollable urge to compete and to be seen as the superior one or the alpha female. So this is important to release. When you release this, you really release it, watch the recording again, release it again, you will find this very much calmed and you don't compete. You start to cooperate and collaborate with other females. It's very powerful. I ask for my mother's forgiveness and I forgive myself. Now for mothers, I release to feel superior to my mother. Sorry, retake. I release to feel superior to my daughter, believing that since I have more experience in life, that I must be superior in all ways. I release that belief right now. So it is. If your daughter has had more education than you, gone further in her studies, that's often a point of contention deep inside, feeling inferior. So it's good to release that also. I release to feel threatened by my daughter's superior education, youthfulness, and beauty, out of fear that I would look inferior or old by comparison. I release those fears right now. And breathe on that. I release my fear that my daughter would surpass me and steal the love and attention from the most important men in my life. I release my fear that my daughter would surpass me and steal the love and attention from the most important men in my life. Take a deep breath on that.
I release to subconsciously see my daughter as the other woman and to compete with her or attempt to destroy her through judgment, criticism, rejection, and abuse.
Okay, this thing with other woman, that's a very important one. If you have had a father, the husband of your mother, cheating on her, having affairs with other women in their history of their relationship, maybe not even in marriage, but before marriage, the mother tends to see the first daughter, the firstborn daughter, as the other woman. It's a subconscious thing, okay? So then in the subconscious mind, the mother is constantly wanting to get rid of the other woman and give her a hard time. So a lot of daughters are very confused why the mother prefers maybe the younger sister, but heaps criticism and judgment and abuse on her and not love her as much. So this is a very difficult situation and often unexplainable. So this is important statement if you have had that experience, okay? So you can release for your mother, and women, you can release that if you've been treating your firstborn daughter not well. I open myself now to see and acknowledge my daughter as my child. And I put her back into her position as my child, as my daughter. And so it is. And take a breath on that. I release all feelings of guilt for mistreating her. I ask for forgiveness and I forgive myself. Take a deep breath. How are you feeling? Tell us in the chat. Now we go to the next area of conflict, controlling mother or daughter. Okay.
As daughter, you say, I release my anger and resentment for my mother. Feeling she's too overpowering and controlling. I release my fear to be overpowered and controlled by my mother. And female energies. I release this fear for my mother, all females, all female ancestors in my bloodline. I release my resistance to female authority and all authority. And to fight them out of fear, to have no power and no control, and out of fear to be overpowered and controlled.
And breathe. I open myself to accept female authority and authority when it makes sense and when it's good for me. And I reclaim my natural authority right now. I step into it. See, you can't have what you resist and fight. And all women here, you have natural authority. You must have it because you have children, yeah, or can have children. And you are natural leaders in your home. You have natural authority. But when you fight it and you don't listen to it and you run away from it, then you can't be in it. You can't have it. So you release your resistance and then you reclaim your natural authority. And I release all decisions to cut off from my mother in order to not be controlled by her anymore. I release my need and pattern to overpower and control my mother, believing she's weak, and out of fear that if I don't, she might overpower and control me. I release those fears right now. So it is.
I release all patterns and programs to always be in control of all people and situations around me out of fear to be controlled, overpowered or destroyed. If I'm not in control, I release this fear for my mother and all females and all female ancestors.
Mhm. I reconnect with my mother. I choose now to fully reconnect with my mother. And I claim full control over my life while giving myself full permission to surrender control and flow with the tides of life. I see that I have no control over life in the bigger picture. And I open myself to know that I have the strength, the resilience, and the wisdom to handle whatever comes. So it is. And breathe and let the energies flow. Don't resist anything. Say, if it's good for me, I let it flow through me. Yeah.
As a mother, you say, I release my need and urge to control my daughter's life. I release my need, pattern, and program to force my opinion and views on my daughter. I release to demand of my daughter to obey me without question. And to do whatever I direct and instruct her to do. This should not be misunderstood as if you don't have an authority as a mother. And of course, and especially when children are young, we talk about this context, especially when children are grown up, that when they have to find their own way, make their own decisions, that we as parents, in this case as a mother, you need to let go of that control.
Mm-hmm. I release my fear that my daughter would suffer or be destroyed if I'm not in control of her life. I release to project my fears on her. I open myself to trust in the strength, resilience, intelligence, power, and wisdom of my daughter to navigate her own life and to deal with the consequences of her choices. So it is. I choose to simply support her in her choices. I give my daughter back any power that she has given to me. When you say to your daughter, whether she's there or not, visualize her if she's not, you say, daughter, I trust you. And you imagine also all the grandmothers in your ancestry. Yeah, and all the female descendants, you as mother in the bloodline. You say, daughter, I trust you that you can handle your own life. I acknowledge that you are a mature and responsible adult and woman. I see you as you truly are. And I open myself to see you clearer and clearer. I free you to have a different life than what I had envisioned for you. I free you now, and I free myself. So it is. Mhm. I release my anger and resentment for my daughter for controlling me and overpowering me. I release my anger, irritation, and resentment for my daughter for mothering me and treating me like a child. I release my anger for my daughter for disrespecting and not honoring me as her mother. So it is. I let it go now. I step fully back into my position as my daughter's mother. And I reclaim my natural authority as her mother. So it is. Now we come to the next area, early separation and disconnection from infancy or childhood, even as a teenager.
So when the daughter, the child, is separated shortly after birth, in early childhood, it creates a traumatic experience, which also leads for the daughter to make internal decisions that affect her life. That when the inner child is calling out for the mother after the separation and is not answered, decisions are made, like giving up to call out for the love of the mother, turning away, or simply choosing to be on her own, to stand alone, to fight for herself, never ask for support, never ask for help, to not go towards love, to not ask for it, to not go towards support and never asking to be nurtured. this can be turned around, that those decisions that the child has made are released. And a movement to the mother, a reconnection to the mother is reestablished, and the relationship can heal. As the daughter, you say, I release all pain, shock, and trauma. From being separated from my mother in my life. I release all negative effects of being separated from my mother.
And I release all pain, believing that my mother abandoned me and didn't love me. This section is also important for women who have been adopted, given up for adoption, okay? I release all anger from my mother when I was separated from her, feeling and believing that she rejected and abandoned me.
I release all this, also for all females, for all female ancestors in my bloodline. I release this in the astral life, all dimensions and planes.
And in the output. Okay, this can also apply to short separations, not just long ones where you are given away for adoption or anything. It's also even short when you below 10 years old, even if you've been separated for like 2 weeks or a month, or sudden separation could create all of these negative effects.
This can be when the child is, for example, given to relatives for whatever reason because it was necessary, or when the child was in hospital and had to be taken care of and had to be separated from the mother and experienced a lot of aloneness.
Often creates a lot of anger in the child, yeah. I release all decisions that I have ever made to leave my body and go in the astral or astral life to look for my mother. I release feeling lost, not knowing where my mother is. And I come fully back to my body right now. I reconnect with my spleen. So for all of you who have felt like there is a pain at the back of your neck, at the base of your skull, if you were to press it, or even when you don't, this is a good indication that you are not fully in your body, that you have left for some reason or other, usually trauma or fear, and coming back fully in your body, all fragments of yourself, you're fully in, this pain should disappear. So if you have that, just let us know in the chat box.
Say, I release to give up I release to give up on reconnecting with my mother. After our separation, I release to give up on reconnecting with my mother after our separation. I release my decision to reject her, believing she rejected me. I release to close my heart towards my mother, and I choose to open my heart towards my mother again and reconnect with her.
I reconnect with my mother. I choose that.
I choose now to go towards my mother and reconnect with her.
Heart to heart.
To love her and receive her love. I choose that now. I open myself to feel and experience that connection with my mother, and to experience that connection with my mother in my whole life. I open myself to feel that connection with my mother and to experience that connection with my mother in my whole life.
And breathe in your heart. I open this experience of reconnection with the mother energy for all females in my entire bloodline. And so it is. Good. How do you feel? You feel that reconnection? Are you feeling warmer in your body? Some people perspire when they're in this section, when they reconnect, yeah? Reconnecting with your mother is reconnecting with life on a deeper level. Okay, the next area we want to release with you would be the fighting with mama. Okay, a lot of fighting going on. So all of this that you've released so far anyway is connected to fighting, but let's get down to the brass tacks here. I release to fight with my mother. Daughters can say, I release to fight with my mother, and mothers can say, I release to fight with my daughter. And I release all exhaustion and stress from fighting with my mother and my daughter. Take a deep breath, let all of that tension and that stress go. So much fighting.
I release to see my mother as my enemy. As daughter, I release to see my mother as my enemy. Or as a mother, you say, I release to see my daughter as my enemy. You might think such a simple releasing statement like that can really improve the relationship. And it's really in our experience that while we touch on very complex things, that very often very simple releasing statements can have a very deep and lasting impact.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And a lot of the fighting is not just external, like in words, but is internal through feelings. Yeah. We call it fighting in the astral. The astral is where all your emotions are, this invisible field where, you could meet someone who's smiling at you, but you can feel he's actually angry with you. So that's the astral. There's a lot of fighting going on there. So Cold War, passive aggression. So you can say, I choose now to drop all weapons in the astral. I release my belief and conviction that I am right and my mother is wrong. And I release to fight my mother, to force her to admit that she's wrong and that I am right. I release the anger and hate for my mother for picking fights with me and fighting with me. I release my decision to never forgive her. And I release my decision to close my heart to my mother forever. I release the anger for my mother, believing she's constantly creating drama and dragging me into them. And I release all shock and trauma for all the fighting that we had been doing, visibly and invisibly. Say, Mom, whatever you call your mom, Mommy, I drop all weapons right now. Can you please drop yours? Let's start again on a clean slate, okay, Mommy? Let's not fight or compete or judge or criticize. I stop all that now. Can you stop too? And feel your mother. Feel her. Does she want to stop too? Does she want to stop? If you hear yes, drop a note in the chat box. Say, Mommy, let's love each other, okay? I want to love you, and I open my heart to receive all your love. Do you want my love too, Mommy? Mama says, yes, she wants your love. She wants your love. She so much wants your love. Of course.
And you will see it takes one, not always two, to create peace again and to start reconnecting, to open the door to make everything possible again.
Your love is so important to her. She may not have showed it, but it's everything to her. your love, your acceptance. And you can say to your mom, Mommy, despite everything, I love you. Deep down, I love you and I want your love. I open myself to receive your love. And breathe in your heart. I release to hold onto my grudge against my mother. Now we deal with the inability to forgive, the resistance to forgive. Okay?
Because it's often the old hurts that we hold on to, the whole old grudges, the old feelings of injustice, the old stories in our mind, in our heart that we hold on to, that get printed out and printed out again and again, and just add to it.
I release to hold any grudge against my mother. And I release all resistance to forgive her for all the words and actions that she said or she did to me in the past. I open myself to forgive her. This includes your mother-in-law, okay? So if it's your mother-in-law, you can say that too. It's difficult. When you have issues with your mom, it often gets translated to your mother-in-law. She's like a reflection. Still mother energies, mother figures, okay? So if you compete with your mom for, let's say, dad's love, there will be competition with your mother-in-law, let's say for your husband's love, okay, or attention. This pattern just keeps continuing and showing up in different areas of your life. I release my decision to never forgive. I release to see my mother-in-law as my enemy. And I release to compete with her for the love and attention of her son. I choose now, I open now to forgive my mother and my mother-in-law and all the mother figures of my life. I choose to fully open my heart again. And I open myself to see that if they could have done better, with the knowledge and the consciousness and programming challenges that they had at that time, if they could have done better, they would have done. And it's the same for me. I open myself now to forgive them, and I forgive myself. I fully forgive myself. And so it is. Okay, now we are ending now, but there is a very important part which is to do with female ancestry and what had gone on in your history of your family. Now, across the world, there have been experiences of women being attacked or allowed to be harmed by their mothers. Okay, example, In India, in Africa, you could have you have a culture and tradition where women or little girls have to have their clitoris cut or disposed of, and often painfully and without anesthetic. This is a horrific experience for most females in those cultures, especially in the early days. And the mothers allow it, not only allow it, they encourage it. So there was a great distrust in those cultures of females towards their mothers, not trusting them, not trusting their love, not trusting that they would be protected by their mothers. And in China, long history where females are not valued, there's even infanticide. Girls are put to death because they're females, girl babies. And so there's a great distrust of mothers also in those cultures. Yeah, no protection, not only not protection, but also destruction. Yeah, destruction of life. And then there are many, many cultures, also Indian cultures, Chinese cultures, where because the females, or even in Middle Eastern cultures very much, in fact, when we look at it, it's really across all cultures. When the patriarchy is dominant and females are put down and seen as inferior, often women are powerless in their own homes. And then when they have their daughters-in-law put by society in like an inferior position to the mother or the mother-in-law, this is the time when women feel they can have power over the females that are under them in the hierarchy and give them a very hard time. And so again, there's born in our ancestry a lot of women who don't trust the love of other women. They just don't trust women. They feel other women want to destroy them. Okay, and then you also have in Asia, but not only in Asia, in Europe and across the world, where girls are sold as slaves, sex slaves, or simply into slavery because the family is poor. And this is one way the girls are collateral, the girls are possessions to be sold for the family to have some money. And again, women, girls feel that in their very DNA, epigenetically, if this has happened to your family, where you feel betrayed, where the ancestors have felt betrayed by the mothers, okay, and unprotected or destroyed, this runs through the system. It is epigenetically passed down to you. So you may experience that even though you may have best friends who are females, great mom, you love your mom, you trust your mom at some level, it's never quite fully there because it's in the genetics not to trust females. So let's release that. It takes a long time to release through every single scenario, but as a whole, okay, keeping in mind everything that I have said so far with the different scenarios and probably more, you can say, I release from my DNA, from my female ancestors, from my bloodline, the deep pain, horror, shock, and trauma anger, hate, deep mistrust from being betrayed by the mothers and the females around me. For encouraging the destruction, pain, hurt, harm, done to me from the other females around me, and by my mother. I release all of this right now. For every single member, every mother, every daughter, in my ancestry and in my bloodline. I release this in the astral life, in all dimensions and planes, and in the output. Take a deep breath, and I release all decisions ever made in my female ancestry to never ever fully trust in the love, in the friendship, in the support of any female ever again, any mother ever again. I release all decisions that they and I have ever made to close my heart forever to all mothers, mother energies, and females. I release this in the astral life, in all dimensions and planes, and in the output. And so it is. I open right now for all the females in my bloodline and for myself to forgive all females, all mothers who have ever hurt me or harmed me, betrayed me, manipulated me, lied to me, rejected me, sold me, or destroyed me. All negative effects of that are released now from my DNA and from my genetic line. I open myself to forgive. I ask for forgiveness. And I forgive myself. And so it is. Take a deep breath. Deep breath. I open this for all females in the entire world. I heal now. I open this healing for all females in universe. And so it is. I make a new decision now to fully trust. And I ask for discernment to know whom I can trust and whom I cannot trust. I activate that within me. And I open myself for a whole new experience. That mother energies are supportive, and females are supportive, loving, nurturing, giving, sensitive, and wise, cooperative, collaborative, and empowering, and healing. I choose this new experience. And I open myself to receive it. So it is. So it is. And breathe.
To support further the healing as a mother, daughter, as a woman, it is good to come out of positions that you might have stepped in, positions of ancestors whose fate you might have taken on, or agreements that you've made with ancestors that are not empowering, that are limiting, that are disempowering. Mostly those agreements are done on a subconscious deep soul level. So for that, you can say, I release to step into the role and position of any of my female ancestors. I now step back in my position and I give my female ancestors their position and fate back. You can think of your female ancestors, all of them, and say, I give you all your position, your role, and fade back now. I step back in my position. I release all agreements with my female ancestors to not be in my power as a female. I now choose to take my power back. Doing different than the ancestors, breaking rules, changing the ways, going beyond common rules often creates the fear to be cast out, to be disconnected, to be rejected, to not belong anymore, while belonging is a very essential, deep need. So I release my fear to not belong to my family anymore. If I break out of the limiting structures and rules for females of my ancestors, I choose to free myself and choose a different path that works for me and is aligned with my purpose, while I still belong and are supported. While I still belong to my ancestors and am still supported as a female.
Okay, so this last part for everybody. See your mother in front of you. And you say, Mom, or Mama, Mommy, I honor you for being my mother, for giving me the gift of life and all that it cost you to give it to me. I see that I can do with this life everything that I wish to do and be as great as I wish to be because of this gift that you gave me. So I take this gift with all that it cost me to take it. This is a gift that I can never repay. This is the gift of life that nobody else gave me in this life. Thank you, Mommy, Mom. And I acknowledge that everything else you give, apart from this life, is extra. And I honor you, respect you as my mother. And you bow your head to your mother. Whatever she may have done or not done, remember that everything else is extra. And if you had a lot of extras, then you are very, very blessed. And if you had no extras, remember, you still got this immense, amazing, priceless gift of life with all that it cost her to give it to you. Okay? So thank her.
Now you can say, everything that I've released, I transmute into love and joy. So it is.
Everything that I have not yet released, I put into quarantine to be released at the right time. I come fully back to my body from all times and places. I ground in my body and on Mother Earth. And so it is. And that's it. Tell us how you're feeling.
And thank you.
Before you go.
And thank you, everybody. Thank you, all of you, wonderful women and few gentlemen even, for coming today, because what you did today, you did for yourself and your mom, but you did also for many, many other women. You have done a great service to so many women, also your ancestors. You have released limitations. And if you have ever experienced to be a black sheep, the ancestors, they cheer on mostly the black sheep because they stop, the buck stops here, they stop rules and they stop living in patterns that are limiting. And the ancestors are very happy for that. And the future generations that come after you and with you now are so much more freed. What you did actually for all the women on the whole planet.
Yes, it goes beyond us all, yeah? So we thank you very much for coming. Well, we're not done. We would love to put your screen on and see all of you who are still here. If you would like your screen to be on, you can put, at the bottom of the screen, they have put your hands up or something, yeah? Raise your hands. Can you click that, and Paying will send you an invitation to put your screen on first so that we can say hello to you, see you, and you can give us some feedback how you feel. So, but before that, we have a few announcements as this is going on. We have the next thing. See, today there are many questions we have no time to answer. And also you may have questions from this process coming up for you, things you want to clarify, more things you want to talk about. The next event, and the last event of the year probably, would be on the 18th of November. It's called Conversations with Heiko and Selina. This is a series, and we're going to keep talking about this. Let's keep talking about mothers and daughters. Bring all your questions there, and we will attempt to answer. Bring girlfriends there, your mothers there. Put your questions to us. We love to talk more about this. And this is, like I said, it's a very, very deep and complex topic. So we would have loved to go even deeper on some of the things that came up, but we can't. There's not enough time. So join us then. And also there are many ways to contact us, have sessions with us. People keep asking us about that, how to have sessions. So you can see here private releasing sessions with us online. and video recordings. This is important. The past webinars, we have had some very huge topics about money and power and the fear of failure, and also about relationships.
And stepping into your own personal power.
And all this you can access in our Vimeo channel, which is the next slide. The Vimeo channel over there. It says scan me. If you have your phone, you can scan and go straight to our website where all of this information is there. We have our Facebook group, Telegram channel where you get you'll be the first to be invited for any events coming up, or Instagram.
And of course, like always, sometimes people still ask, is it okay if I pass your information to my friends or family? And 100%, you always are most welcome to share with your friend the information and to invite them always. And you're most welcome to encourage your friends if they have any questions, any inquiries, if they feel they need to find out something more first before they like to approach this. Don't be shy. Say, I release to feel too shy, and just we're very approachable.
Yes. Yeah, and so there was something I wanted to say and now I've forgotten what it is. Anyway, come on with us. Let's meet. Only 3 people put their hands up. Oh my goodness. Oh yeah, we closed the registration earlier today. And if you have friends or family saying, oh, I missed the registration, tell them that the recording is available for sale later. Yeah, and they can always do this process. Who's online with us? Come, don't be shy. Oh, wonderful.
Hello, Amy.
Hey, Georgina.
I noticed that it was like a tunnel opened up in my solar plexus in the last 10 minutes when we were doing the ancestry thing. I also noticed a weird pain in my right foot after the first hour that lasted just a minute and then went. My key focus was also on releasing around fighting with my daughter and any tension within that. So I was doing double. I was doing upwards from my mum and then downwards to my daughter. So I thought it was really, really very powerful. Thank you so much.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you. How do you feel right now?
Tired.
Yeah, I can imagine a lot of you would be very, very tired right now, very exhausted. It was a huge process, very long and very detailed. Thank you. This really shows
I
that
feel much lighter.
You look very clear.
Hey.
Hi.
Hey, big topic for me, as you both know. Yeah, super. I think I'm quite. I thought that my problem was unique, but the fact that all the things that you said in the releasing seems like it's a common. I mean, a lot of the issues that I face with my mom is also faced by other mother and daughter relationships. So I couldn't really feel much. I just felt very tired throughout. I'm also distracted because I have deadlines. Today I have deadlines to meet. So my mind is like half not here. But and then towards the end of the releasing session, I actually was doing work. So, but I trust that whatever I'm listening is going into me, and whatever I get to say, I will say. I mean, that's why I need to listen to the recording again. For sure.
Yes.
For sure. Yeah. And also because the recording, I want my mom to watch it as well. Yeah.
Yes.
So looking forward to that.
Yes. I was wondering whether your mom was with you.
No.
Yeah.
Send our love to your dear mom, okay?
Okay. Okay, I will. Thank you both so much.
Thank
You're
you. Love you,
welcome.
Amy.
Thank you too.
Thank you.
We want to hear the female voice of South Africa.
It's wild in Africa. in the beginning, there's a lot of I just think a lot of emotion comes out of me and crying. So I was alone, so it was good. I felt I could just let it all out and cry, do the ugly cry.
Mm.
And yeah, it was a journey. The whole session was a journey. I can't really pinpoint out anything. It was good. Thank you very much. I'm
You
grateful
feel
to have.
clearer.
Yeah.
Mm.
And what's funny is that, well, not funny, just weird, that my mother's just having such a bad day today. And this happens to happen, or this releasing session happens on this day. And it's like I don't know how to be there for my mother. And I felt like doing this was being there for her.
Oh, sure.
Yes, yes, yes,
I
for
agree.
sure. Yes.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Karin. How's your
Thank
sister?
you.
Your sister didn't come online, yeah?
She sends her regards. I always ask people, please do this, please do that, but I can't drive their car for them, so I just drive my own car.
Yeah. Drive your own car.
Yes.
Very good.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you, Karin.
That's already
Thank
a
you
lot.
very much.
So glad to see you. So glad you joined, Karin.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm so glad that you guys are still so a part of my life, a big part of my life, without really knowing it.
Same
Maybe.
here.
Thanks for coming to our life. All the
I
way.
love you guys.
We
All the
love you
way.
too. We love you.
Big hug to you, Karin. And love to your sister
Love
too,
to.
yeah?
Will do.
Can we hear from Regina? Regina's with her mom.
Hi.
Hi.
Hello.
Hello. Thank you for your curry, your fish head curry.
Someone really did some fish for this.
Hello. Hello.
Thank you. It was delicious. My mom loved it too.
How was the webinar for you? How was this work for you?
Oh, it was really good. I was very curious about both of you because I've been attending all these, Catholic healing masses, and so it's something very different. It's like very personalized for a mother and a daughter to be together, and I think it's so it really touches. And then and my daughter was very keen for me to attend because I lose my mother at a very young age. Basically, I don't even know her. So there's nothing that, there's no connection, no nothing. So even but when this beginning of the program, when tears just flowed and I feel so much at peace.
Oh, wow. Mm-hmm.
So much at peace. Yes. That's what I felt, and it was really beautiful. I feel so enlightened. I feel so enlightened, and also, it's nice when my daughter, she really took the trouble to stay here and set up my iPad for me so that
She had her own corner.
I had my own corner, and she had her own
She
corner.
had her headset on, and but we
So it
were
was,
just beside each other.
But when the final part, when mommy and daughter this thing, then it somehow rather we turn to each other and
we faced each other and
we
said,
face each other and ask for forgiveness and all that. It was beautiful.
Thank you.
Oh,
Wow.
thank
very much.
you.
Thank you.
You're making our day. You're making our day.
It's a very beautiful program that you all set.
Thank you so much.
More curry your way when you come back.
I look forward to that.
Thank you so much. You're
Thank
making
you
our day.
so
This
much.
is so, wow.
Thank
You two, you do this together. You're the leading edge.
Oh.
Oh, how wonderful. Wow. Huh?
It took a journey to get here, definite, but it was because of you guys from the beginning. So thank you for that.
And Sharon has improved a lot after attending a lot of your sessions, and I see a lot of difference in her.
Oh, That's enough.
Definitely, that's what made me wants to, join and, have this mother and daughter to strengthen the bond better, because we were loggerheads. We don't agree. Our character is so strong.
Daddy's hiding in the room.
It's okay, today's mother-daughter, but he will benefit for sure.
Yes, he definitely will. He doesn't have the Genghis Khan war anymore.
To connect with mom is the best, isn't it, Sharon? It's the
Yes.
best, right?
Definitely.
It's the best. Wow.
She's
Thank
the
you,
best
both.
home I ever had.
She's the best. What? Say that again.
The best home. She gave me the safety. Her womb was the best place to actually be in.
Wow. Did you hear that, mom?
She wants to stay. We have to make her grow up. That's it. And she has grown a lot,
Yeah.
with y'all. Actually, I would say I should thank you all more.
Thank you.
Because it's not easy for mother and daughter to, to communicate in this way.
And
so, it's really a beautiful experience for me,
thank you.
which I wouldn't have been able to do it. Definitely.
Thank you, Payin, for also trying to connect me up with mommy too. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Thank you both so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye
Oh,
bye.
you all made our nights.
No, you made our lifetime now.
We will work on our
Relationship.
mother-daughter relationship. We'll continue. It's not easy, just one session and just to move on straight away. I think it takes time, but we have been doing it for quite some time already, and this one is the best.
But there's something you can do, right? Instead of just being hopeless, stuck, and so many people think, this will never change. This, like, they just stuck. But even if it's 3 steps forward and 1 step back or 2 steps back, but you do something and it does make a difference. That's all worth the work, right?
Yes. Definitely.
And it definitely needs people like you all to help us out. I think on our own is quite, I think a lot is a struggle.
Happy to be of service, Mom.
Yes, it's a struggle for especially a mother-daughter. It's really a struggle. I think you all should do one with father and son.
Happy to.
Yes. It's there in the list of to-dos. Thank you.
Guys, thank you.
Okay, thank you, guys.
Thank you.
So Serene, let's hear from you. Hi, Serene.
Hey, so good to see you.
Lovely to see you too. Yeah, thank you for this session. It was really lovely. I started off having a headache on the left-hand side, and as the session went on, it kind of just disappeared without me realizing. So, and you said the left side is about mothers and your relationship, so that was lovely. I was doing it with I did it alone, but I said the releasing statements for my mother and my daughter, and that really helped. As we did the video, my daughter came into the room just every so often, and she would just stay and listen, and then she'd go out again. And finally she came in at the end, and she heard, the last closing statements about motherhood, life being a gift. So she was really listening, and she actually said some of the things with me.
Very good age to say that, that thank you for the gift of life. Everything else is extra, right? Thank you,
Beautiful.
Serene.
Thank you.
Thank you. Frederick, only guy here. Let's hear from you before we head off. How was it for you as a man?
For me, it was very interesting. So I've been interested in the topic for quite a while, because I think in my own family and also my wife's family, there's lots of these issues, and they don't make life easy for our children, for my wife's children. So our biological children, and it doesn't make life, sometimes it doesn't make life easy for myself either. So I've always been interested, maybe for the last 20 years, in these dynamics, and so I'm very happy to have been part of the process. Energetically, so there was less stuff going on my side. So in terms of, you know, physical sensations, so on. So, but I could feel some. I could also feel some pain in my heart at the beginning, and I can empathize with all of you. So I'm very happy to have been here, to have learned, and then also to see a mother-daughter team. So that would be so great if more mothers and daughters could be doing that together.
Yes, yes, for sure.
Thank you.
And you release for your female ancestors. You release for your genetics. How amazing. Thank you, Frederick. Wow. That was amazing that you were here. If only they knew, but they do know. Big healing. Thank you. True blue healer. Okay, is there anyone else, last person who would like to share on video? Any feedback, how you felt? Anyone else? You can raise your hands in the next 5 seconds. If not, then okay. So we wish you all blessings.
Much love to you. Thank you so much.
Wonderful, beautiful, strong women. Before you leave, there'll be a pop-up. So just click that. We love you. We love you all.
Thank you.
Great women, wild women. Let's do it. Okay. Good night.
Good night.